Well, Gary, I mean, this, of course, is the cashed-up lefty modern liberal fantasy, right? Which is essentially, if we can do it with Labor and the Greens, then we don't need those awful Conservatives, and those Conservatives are actually the people who basically, you know, as it's been said in the past, have got nowhere else to vote, so we'll take them for granted. But there are people like Mark Latham and One Nation, and remember the path that Turnbull went down when he played this game. 1 million people didn't vote for Team Blue in 2016, and they got within one seat of being wiped out completely.
Yeah, look, Paul, it's all part of this sort of international series of agreements that Australia has signed up to, which are not in Australia's best interest. The whole idea of setting targets to lower emissions and all of this, and net carbon emissions, what they're really saying is what Tony Abbott was saying a decade ago, and that is let's plant more trees so you can suck the carbon dioxide out of the air. But no one actually says that Tony Abbott might have been right all those years ago. Paul, there is a complete absence of character, values and proper philosophy, as Bronwyn says, talking about the tradition of backing the entrepreneurial class, the individuals, and trusting the way things have always been. They want to reset everything. They want everything to change. They want the state to tell you where you can live, when you can have power, when you can die, how you can die. The state will take care of it all. And if you think for a moment this magic pudding of power generation is actually going to come at a less cost to you, well, have I got a deal for you? Some land that at low tide you can see the ocean, but at high tide you're in it. I mean, seriously, we are being conned, hell west and crooked. And I don't know, Matt Keane, I think he took over Barry O'Farrell's seat, if I remember correctly, but I wanted to know him. But the nastiness and the misguided approach that he's taken, it's not Matt Keane's fault. He's just so stupid as to follow bad advice from bad people who don't care about Australia. And the worst problem is there is no substantial political voice against this crap. We are seeing it out of Canberra with Angus Taylor, with poor old Angus Taylor. We saw it with whatever his name was, Turnbull, that bloke that was there and wrecked Australia's sort of psyche for a long time. I mean, Paul, I get really fed up to the back teeth about the complete absence of guts, gumption and go-to when it comes to the philosophy, the character, the values that have always made Australia great, but we just throw it under the metaphoric bus day in, day out. I'm sick to death of it. Really am sick to death of it.
Yeah. So, James, I mean, look, you know that many of the people watching this program, they'd be the quiet Australians, as the Prime Minister would call them. But yes, there are plenty of people that are the hardcores, the partisans, the people who like the fight and believe there is much to fight for. Yet we see so often out of state divisions a great disconnect from where seemingly the federal government seems to be at times, even though the federal government may disappoint the hardcores from time to time as well. James, put simply, is the only way to fix this that people have to literally join the party, gain numbers, gain control? Because otherwise, isn't it just going to be the supporters of the party blowing up and the people who've actually put the work into changing the party being the ones who end up with the power?
Well, Paul, people who share our values are always welcome to join the Liberal Party. Come one, come all. If you believe in free enterprise and religious liberty and free speech and the family and small government, please sign up. You'd be warmly welcomed at a Liberal branch anywhere around the country. I want to turn back, though, to this substantive issue, which is that the logical fallacy in the arguments of many of the spruikers on behalf of the renewable industry, which is that they say, on the one hand, renewables are the cheapest form of generation, but at the same time they say all this market intervention, all these new laws, all these subsidies are necessary to ensure that renewable energy is rolled out. Now, those two things can't both be true. If it is indeed the cheapest form of energy, it wouldn't need any assistance from governments to be rolled out. It would just be freely chosen by businesses and consumers and everybody else.
Exactly.
If, in fact, it does need all this intervention, maybe it isn't, in fact, the cheapest form of new energy, and there's something not quite right about